Hey, welcome to your Taurus horoscopes for the week of March 3rd through the 9th. And it's a little bit calmer this week, although in retrospect, with Jupiter and Uranus still being there and still in a square with Venus and Mars, it may not necessarily seem like it's a little quieter, but it is actually for the next 2 weeks because we have the moon still playing into this challenge, but it's not amplifying it by a lot. It's literally just sort of amplifying what's already there. It's not adding another layer to it. As the moon is in Aquarius this week, which is where all the other planets that you're squared with are, and then next week will be in Taurus. So it's basically just sort of amplifying what's already there. It's not adding more to it, which it would be if it was in Leo or Scorpio. So that's actually kind of the good news. Um, so we do continue to have Uranus and Jupiter in a square with Mars and Venus, both of which continue to be focused on long-term financial goals. But the bright side of things is they're also both in a sextile with Mercury, the Sun, and Saturn pretty much all week, which are focused on career. Now, the sextile is a very helpful aspect, and the moon's actually going to amplify that this week as well, maybe even a little bit into next week. Because we never talk about when it amplifies things in a good way, do we? But it does. It gives you an emotional reason to celebrate. Whereas as we get to the moon being in Aquarius, which is on Thursday, Friday. Okay, it won't amplify things in a good way this week. We'll look at that next week. It amplifies things. This is sort of, to me, the way I interpret this is that panic mode. When something happens and you automatically go to panicking about going completely broke because this one bill didn't get paid, or because you forgot something, or because an unexpected expense comes up all of a sudden. We are really good at going to that place where this is the end of the world for us. And it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It's just life. It throws you a curve and you have to deal with it. And then you just sort of adjust your energy and you adjust your plan and you adjust what you're doing and you sort of kind of move on from it. And the square between the two planets is happening all week long. The moon just seems to be, it seems like the emotional reaction to that challenge will probably come up around Thursday or Friday because the moon is amplifying things there a little bit. The good news is that both planets have moved out of a square with Pluto, which is nice because Pluto is sitting there and not going anywhere. It's just literally sedentary there. So the fact that your planets are moving out of the ability to do that means that these challenges actually have a shelf life now, as Mars and Venus are on their way out of Aquarius. We'll give it a couple of weeks, but we will also be seeing the end of this challenge here pretty quick. It's not one of those that's going to go on literally all year long, which is really nice. But let's look at those sextiles, and all of that good energy going towards your career. This has really actually been kind of interesting for you guys, how the panicking has been solely around money, but all of the good stuff is going towards career. And you're basically you're leveling up in your career, or you're building of your new career, or just, making more money in your career. With all that energy going to your career, the money just kind of sort of deals with itself. And I think that this really is the lesson here. Fixed signs have immense control issues. We want to control everything. And so if it feels like we're losing control in a specific aspect of our lives, we tend to kind of hold on to it so tightly that we suffocate it to death. And then we wind up making mistakes with that. We wind up basically being our own worst enemy. So instead of actually saving money, we wind up somehow spending it irresponsibly. It just doesn't make any sense at all to do that. So the more you can work through your panic, the more you can to put yourself in that Zen state of it's okay, these things happen, we'll deal with it and move on, the easier it is going to be. And that kind of sounds a little bit airy-fairy, but I've actually recently been through this. Two things happen when you obsess over or worry over money. One, it affects you physically. You start to feel sick, you start to get heart palpitations, you start to have stomach issues, you have sleeping problem. It affects you in a million different ways when you're over worried about money. But it also affects your rest time because your brain is constantly just will not let this problem go. Even if a solution comes up for the problem, your brain still can't let it go. This is where anxiety comes from. And it is obsessing over things that we have no control over. So do what you can and deal with what you have to deal with, and then just let it go and move on from it. Life is more successful when you let things flow than when you try to micromanage them. Got a new little thing that we're doing with the horoscopes these days, and it's pulling a tarot card for you guys. And we got the Hermit, which is very interesting, actually, in terms of talking about obsessing and trying to control things, right? The Hermit is not necessarily a card that says you need to hide from the family or just lock yourself in your house so you can't spend money. I know sometimes we think that that is. The Hermit is saying, why don't you do something for yourself with that money? Schooling, for example, any kind of learning, anything that helps you develop yourself in a positive way is never a bad thing. And it's something that your mind can focus on rather than focusing on the anxiety of having to try and control the world, which of course not one of us can actually do. So that's what I have for you guys this week. Lots of fun stuff going on for you guys. If you love your horoscopes, do consider sending a tip or donation through my Ko-fi link, which is in the description. Really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Also, check out my website, also in the description. I'm Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Sidekick. I will see you guys next week. And in the meantime, you guys make it a great week because it's all lining up to be a great week. There's no reason to worry about anything, right? I'll see you guys next week.